Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next interview. I'm excited today about our guest, not only because Michelle represents a brand that is so close to many of us in our hearts. You know, all of us know it, love it. Herbivore clothing,
Oh,
just not only a cornerstone in our movement in the world, and obviously a must visit for anyone who is in the Portland, Oregon area. But I really love not just kind of what Herbivore Clothing stands for, but really the work that they've done over the years. Really, just not only the amazing designs and inspirations, but also just how much you've given to our community. So I'm really excited today to kind of give everyone a little bit, maybe more perspective on what you've been up to, what you've been up to personally, Michelle, and even from the business side, what Herbivore Clothing has been doing and how you've been not only pivoting, because that's one of the big things we love to talk about during these sessions, but also how 2020 has been for you and how you've continued to not only bring positive messages and vibes to us out here in the community, but how you've been responding to the headlines, whether it's social injustice that we're seeing, whether it's the pandemic, and whether it's the challenges we have here in the US where politics seems to be dividing us as opposed to bringing us together. We just love to hear, what's been going on in your world. And if we can pull back the curtain and hear about it, I think our audience would be super excited. So welcome, Michelle. And thank you so
thank
much for
you.
joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is super fun. And gosh, just hearing your introduction there, I'm like, oh, do we have all day? Because there's a lot going on. Um, it has definitely been quite a year. Gosh, you know what? I have to close my window because there's a trash truck going by.
Oh, no worries. I'm actually going to do a quick shout out. We already got some love. Todd has said he has
Oh,
been looking forward to this interview. Oh, Todd, you and I are in the same boat. I've been looking forward to it too, since I
oh,
knew I was going to get a chance.
oh, thank
Um,
you.
yeah. So, do you
Um,
want to start with 2020, or do you want to give everyone a little bit of background? Maybe how
why
long
don't we
you've been
start with a little bit of
vegan, your vegan
background?
story? Okay.
So Herbivore started in the year 2002. So this is our 18th year, which is crazy. We started in 2002 as Herbivore Clothing. And then from 2003 to 2007, we also published a magazine. I don't know if you remember that, but we had Herbivore Magazine,
I
which
do.
it was very cool. And I think that there's some back issues on eBay somewhere, but
And then
then
you somewhere, right?
it's on the internet somewhere. We don't have it anywhere, but that's another story. But Herbivore Magazine stopped in 2007. So I just, anybody that is still printing a magazine, I applaud you because that is a very, very tough business. But we really decided to focus in 2007 on the clothing and just the brand and just veganism and making veganism look good and appealing and accessible. I was looking back at some numbers this morning to get ready for this, and it's kind of crazy. We've done like 85 designs since the year 2002. So a lot of, the people remember Herbivore from before I even had a kid. So it's just crazy. And she's 15 now. So we've been doing this for a long time, and we still every day get up and are like, feel fortunate that this is our work, to talk about veganism and to talk about animal rights and to make it look normal, make it look mainstream, as we were mentioning before. But there's still a lot of work to be done because people are still eating animals. So, the over these years, the connection of veganism with other social justice movements, we've talked about, environmentalism and feminism. And now this year is just like, you can really connect veganism to so many different movements and how it can, if we are talking to one another, we can really like lift all rising tides, lift all boats. Right.
Yes.
So um, we're still every day just as excited as we were back then, which is either means that we are pretty simple or that we really love what we do. And I think I think we love what we do.
I
So
definitely think so. And also, I think it shows that you've gotten it right. You really have figured out, as a lot of people say, your North Star. You've figured out kind of where to focus and where you can really drive change. And also, I think just from the impact. I mean, we already have another shout out and love being shared as well from Laura. Thanks, Laura,
thank you.
from saying hello from Bellingham. So I really think it has to do with how you've touched so many people from, the designs and the work you've done.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Gosh, it's we do love what we do. So it's crazy. But here, let me finish going through because I don't want to start talking about today. I want to give or just talk a little bit about our history a little bit more because it there is a lot of history with when you've been doing something for 18 years. So we have had a store since 2006, and we opened where we are now, which is what is called the Vegan Mini Mall, in 2007, and we're still there. So that store has been there for 13 years, and that's kind of crazy. We've seen the movement change so much, and we've grown with it. I mean, I think about how much I've just learned about humans and animals and business, and what's convincing and what's not, and what welcomes people and what pushes people away, and somehow we've always been able to do a blend of that with our voice, from messages like humane meat is yuppie bullshit, which is, not the nicest, but can be said to be true. Or compassion is invincible, which is, something that I truly believe. And I think that's one of the reasons why we can keep going on. It's like when you look, I mean, just look at the world right now. Every morning we all wake up and it's like a onslaught of negativity and stuff like that. And if I let that get to me, it's going to affect my whole day. But if I just try to think about like this house that I live in, this family that I have, these are all the positive things. I have employees that are amazing, that help us with our mission. I still have a store, then I'm like, I can fill myself up really quickly and then have a positive day where I do something good. And that message can mean so much to an individual, but also to a movement, just like, people are still eating animals. So we do still have this mission that we need to, work on and create a bigger, vegan world, if you will. So I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
No, but I love that because you were giving us kind of the history, you were giving us the background, and hearing that not only is it what you do, but you live the talk, you live it in your family, you keep it alive. And like you said, you start with kind of the center of not just getting kind of caught in the headlines and the whirlwind of what's going on, and also the work that still needs to be done. The idea that there are still positives and great things happening. Great things are happening in our movement. We have to celebrate, remember those things, and then use that energy to keep moving the movement forward. So I think you said it beautifully, and I think it's so true from at least what I get to see as an outsider looking in.
We do. We are all very idealistic people, and I think that is probably one of the reasons why Josh and I were attracted to each other. Josh is my husband and co-founder of Herbivore. It was actually his idea to call the company Herbivore, and I was like, "Babe, people are going to think we're selling weed," and that was in 2001 or 2002, and not until like 3 years ago did people actually start thinking that we were selling weed. but yeah, we we have just always approached everything with this sense of like sort of idealism, and the willingness to work really hard. And we really believe in what we're doing. And I think that's, led us to have a successful business. And, we're not afraid to make mistakes, and we're not afraid to work hard. and we don't often ask for help, but we try to make ourselves like, relevant and fun, and I want to be somebody that people want to hang out with. And that's what, and because I love hanging out with people. So that's what our store is like. You come in and you'll be welcomed and people will talk to you. And we can't wait to share everything about Portland or about what we're doing. And about where everybody can eat, or sanctuaries they can go to, or beautiful places to visit. So, it's always Herbivore. The store has always been that kind of place. And one of the things that's happening now is that we don't have that store as much. We are open, but we don't have travelers. And so, whereas there would have been, 50 or 100 people walking through the door last year on any given day in the summer,
Mhm.
now there's like maybe 5. So it's a very different vibe.
I can imagine, yeah. And
So
I also know you from traveling, going to Veg Fest and events
yeah,
as well. So, taking that message from Portland and spreading it around with so much has changed this year.
yeah.
Many of us are used to you coming into our communities as well and miss that.
Right. I know. And we always used to joke every day is Veg Fest in Portland, because it kind of is, right? I mean, it really can be. And it's so weird to have not gone anywhere this year. Like there have been no events, and that just feels funny. And now it's extra funny because people aren't coming to us either.
Yeah.
But as you and I were talking about before before we started recording, like bringing together people in environments like this with cameras and technology, and then we can save this and share it on across all these different platforms. That's what we have now. So that's what we're rocking with. And it's working for me because I see your smile and I love it. Um, and then one thing that I love is picking up the phone now and calling people. So, and writing postcards and sending letters to people. So, like getting together that way, that's kind of what we're doing.
Yes.
Making
And
it
it's
work.
yeah, and I think it's good because it's teaching us to use all the resources to reach out to people. It's teaching us
Yeah.
to take the time. Because before, I think we got so wrapped up into, I got to get this done, and we almost got into that habit of, I don't have time to do these things. That I feel like now I'm starting to re examine time and where do I want to put my time?
Oh, amen. And, I always try to say, because I don't want to I'm trying, and I have been for years, to not be busy, right? Like in America, we have this idea that the busier we are, the better we are. It's some kind of, or, the more work we have to do, and that it supposedly says something about us as a person. And don't want to buy into that. I want to like make good choices and spend my time wisely so that I can be with my friends, be with my family, be with my pets, do whatever other things I want to do in my life. So it's like making time now for the important things, whether it's connecting with other business people like this, or making sure I make time to go to my actual store and put a mask on and talk with my employees in person. Because we do digital all the time. Since the store is so small, we can't all be there together, because then you can't have any customers in. So it's like you just have to make everything work in a different way.
Yes.
But as long as we can still connect with one another, it feels really good.
I
So
think that's really, really important. So before we dive into what you've been doing in 2020, I just wanted to bring up Teresa was just giving you some shout outs. Teresa had been to the mini mall, so she was mentioning that. And also, she's been to a couple of the Veg Fest that you've probably been to as well. I always love it when, as we're chit chatting, everyone's chiming in.
yes.
So let's give everyone a look at what 2020 has been like for you. Where and what has Herbivore Clothing been doing? How have you been responding? How have you been navigating your way?
Yeah. So we started the year, it's as a website and this brand, and then we also have our retail store, and they're one and the same, but it's different when you have a store that's brick and mortar, people walking in. So we, we started off the year, January was great, which is often kind of weird when January is good. You're like, ooh, I'm excited. This is going to be a good year. Lots of people coming through. And we started the year by creating a partnership with a group called Vegan Strong, which is a vegan fitness and bodybuilding. Like they're a nonprofit that basically promotes veganism as a way for people to get into weightlifting and bodybuilding. And, that kind of world is very meat centric. And so all these ethical vegans are out there, talking about their vegan muscle. And it's kind of amazing how many people are in that world.
Mm-hmm.
So we started a partnership with them where we were going to make their merch for them. And then they travel around and they go to all these events and they talk about it with all the hundreds of thousands of people. And then we sent out like 15 boxes of merchandise to them, and then the world closed. And we had all this stuff and this partnership that we were going to start with them on the road and us doing all their fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into a completely different partnership where now we host their merchandise on our website. Instead of people going to these events, they can go to our website, which is herbivoreclothing.com, and buy the Vegan Strong merchandise and get like great bundles of like protein powder and exercise food and all this kind of stuff. So that was like the first thing that we did that was different, because that wasn't the plan at all. And all of a sudden we had all this stuff that we'd made for them.
Yes.
No way to get it in the hands of anyone.
Yeah.
And so that changed our, basically when our store closed and everything just stopped, we were able to immediately focus on the Vegan Strong element and getting those customers happy, right? Introducing them to Herbivore, introducing the Vegan Strong community to Herbivore, and us to them. So that was the first thing that was very different. We've never had anyone else's merchandise, like t-shirts or anything like that, on our website. So we started with that, and it's been great because those customers, some of them were maybe already Herbivore people, but a lot of them weren't. And so we've been able to expose our ideas and projects to one another. So that's been great.
And I love that, because I think a lot of times when we're running businesses, the business itself is always on the solo project. So when you get a chance to collaborate with others, and like you said, each brand is being able to bring new people kind of to the party, in a sense, it really is a unique opportunity sometimes, and sometimes an opportunity that you never know where that collaboration can go.
Well, it's completely changed the way that we thought it was going to work. And we're doing all these new products and all these new, things for people because now gym people can't go back to their gyms, or a lot of them can't. And so we're creating stuff for that, and then they're able to get it to their community. So that has been wonderful, because it also kept my employees working, because, Herbivore, the store was like shut,
Yeah.
and we had to stop from welcoming people in our doors and focus specifically on our website. So we also added shoes to our website. We had begun a few years ago selling shoes, which is a huge endeavor. And we immediately just focused on getting all the shoes online. And then many of them are still on there, all at an amazing discount. Go buy some shoes.
Go buy some shoes, everybody.
So we were able to work on that. And that has been great to have the shoes online. Before people so, everything happened so quickly in March. We saw, some people starting to wear masks, and we have, after 18 years of being a t-shirt company, I have quite a t-shirt collection. It's pretty unbelievable. And we know some people that are, handy, crafty, can sew. And so we made a couple of batches of masks using old Herbivore t-shirts. This was, right at the beginning in late March, early April. And they were done as fundraisers. We did a fundraiser for a sanctuary here called Odd Man Inn, and we
Okay.
raised over $1,000 for them. And then we did it again a couple of weeks later and raised about $1,000 for Wildwood Farm Sanctuary. And it was just, like those days that was, everybody was literally staying inside, not going to the grocery, not going anywhere. Our store was just shut. There was paper over the windows. And we were like, we just have to do something. And we, put this together and got fabric to sewers and got the masks and then sold them and sent them out and donated the money. And it felt so good just to do something, because those were the days when like people didn't even have, like two of the women that run these sanctuaries are both, one of them is a vet tech and one of them is an emergency room nurse for
Okay.
humans.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, we don't have PPE at our clinics because this was it was right in those days.
In the beginning, yeah.
We were able to like get them money and get masks to people and donate masks to some of the vet techs and the nurses. I mean, it's like they were literally using herbivore masks. It's crazy.
That's kind of anything you dream of sometimes, and that it can happen.
Yeah, and just people, we raise the money and we give it all away, and it's like you just make a difference. It makes a difference so quickly for someone else, and what you get back from that is, I think that's one of the things that keeps us going. So that was one of our first big, the Vegan Strong, and then shoes, and then masks. And
I remember, you feel like when you had to make all those decisions so quickly? Did you feel like you were juggling? Did you feel like you had clarity? How did you feel at the time?
That's a really great question. So Josh is like I said, my husband, and we do everything together, and we have a fantastic working relationship. We get along very well, and my skills are not his, so we're a great pair, because I can do what he can't, and he can do what I can't. So we just, but at the same time, we come from the same place. So we just make a decision, and then we divide and conquer. And it's like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this. And it comes together. And we would just sit every morning and like literally, wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we live on a busy street in the middle of Portland. And like, it was dead quiet. There's no buses going by. Cause this is like March, April, the world was just shut. And we would just sit there in the morning and drink coffee and like make plans for the day, and then just go for it. Like, get up out of our chairs at 8 o'clock, get dressed, and like, just go for it. And, and just, watch the world go by from inside. And we tend to make a decision pretty quickly and then make it happen. Because if I have a doubt, then then it's not a good idea. We're very much like, we feel it and then we go for it.
Good. I like that. Yeah. Because sometimes as business owners, it's easy to get caught in the feeling, and you just stay in the feeling mode. You're like, maybe, should I, could I, should I? And then the next day is, could I, should I? And then you're like, oh no, I'm a week down and not acting. So I love to hear that you're able to think it, plan it, and go for it.
We go for it. And if we're not certain, then it's like, okay, we have to step away from this right now and come back to it another time. And, go for long walks and talk about it and figure it out, because that's, just changing my environment, changing the room I'm in can, whatever, it can often just help you make a decision. So, but it's also good to know when something's not right and to just say, no, not a good idea.
But I think it's so important as business owners and people who maybe are watching this, is how important it is to try and test things, that everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be something that, works out from the standpoint that every idea may not be the most financially viable idea. But sometimes it's that process of trying and testing your gut and really getting comfortable with the idea that, for growth to happen, you have to do, you can't just plan. I think is something that a lot of business owners kind of have to be nudged into action. They have to realize you have to act.
I think that you're absolutely right. And I think sometimes we err on the opposite side. We act sometimes before we plan. We get very excited and we're very much doers.
Mhm.
So, it's sometimes it's kind of like, oh man, I should have thought that out a little bit better. But if you don't make a mistake, then what? I mean, I always say, like, some of the best decisions in my life, things that wound up being the best decision I ever made, came from one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made, like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't think through or that was a mistake led me to something that changed the course of my life for the better. So I'm a big proponent of admitting when you're wrong and I'm sorry. Those are words that we all need to know how to say. And it's, I think the world could use a little bit more of that.
Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
So let's talk a little bit about more of the things you've been doing in 2020,
Yeah.
especially let's talk maybe about that email that you guys have put out. If
Um,
anyone is not on the email list, please sign up.
You've got to get on our email list. So I think it was middle of January. It was 34 weeks ago. We started something called the Vegan High Five. And it was because 2019 was a rough year. And we were like, everybody needs some good news, just something good. And so the idea was like, oh yeah, like a high five, just like just something good. And then it was like, well, we could do an email of 5 things that are good every week. And so that is what we've been doing. And this is going to be the 34th week. And it's called the Vegan High Five. And it's everything from like a ridiculous video of a cute dog video, or like, a baby seal being licked by a dog, maybe, I don't know, like, or a recipe, or, often it's like ridiculous things of our pets, our dogs, and, or our kid, or just something, a TV show, anything positive that makes us laugh or makes us smile, or this just that brings goodness into the world. That's the high five. And we send it every Friday. And we've also started sending a buy 5, which is out on every Tuesday, which are 5 things that are on our website that are awesome that you should probably know about. And we also send an email. Oh, go ahead.
And I was going to say, because I'm always trying to get people to think about the business side of being vegan, the idea of being a professional, that like, I love that you are also not shy about doing the buy 5. I think a lot of people get nervous about, should I do the sales? How should I do it? And I think it's so important that we remember we're in business. And like you said, being in business allows you to employ people. Being in business allows you to do fundraisers for others. So it's so important that we keep our business hats on during these times, that we don't just kind of shrink back and say, I don't want to do anything because I don't want to do anything wrong. But it's so important that we put the positive out there, and we still run a business. And I don't know if you want to add to any of that. It's just that
Oh,
I love when I see others do it, because I think it's so important to highlight.
yes. And I could not agree with you more, because if I don't have a successful business, then my 2 full-time employees don't have jobs, and a job that pays a living wage, that, my store manager can buy a house with her husband. I mean, like, these are, we're not getting rich on Herbivore by any means, but it's like, this is the world we live in. It is a capitalist society. We can vote with our dollar. We do vote with our dollar. And so when you spend money at Herbivore, you're spending your money at a place that has the ethics that you also have. And it allows us to do good things. And we talk about in the high five that it's not a sales email, but like, I'm like, well, we make the rules, we can break the rules. And like a couple weeks ago, we were like, well, we're breaking the rules because we want you to buy this fundraiser t-shirt, because we're raising money for all of these different groups. And we are having an amazing racial justice fundraiser right now. And we've raised almost $15,000 already. So you could be the person that makes it 15,000, because we still have some shirts available from 4 different artists, and they're at our website, herbivoreclothing.com. And we're giving money to Don't Shoot PDX, which is a local grassroots organization, to the NAACP, and to an organization called Beam that focuses on mental health care for Black Americans. So it's really, it's like, just to be able to give money to these groups is amazing. And of
And I
course,
love how you've leaned into what you do best and what you're known for. I think a lot of times when we're trying to figure out how do we act, what do we do, especially when issues like this come up, when things about, just the injustices happening in the world, and sometimes how much it breaks our hearts that we can't figure out what to do next. I really love the project that you put together, because not only in your project are you in your amazing realm of the idea of amazing shirts and design, but I
mhm.
love that you worked with artists. So you were featuring and highlighting those artists. I love that you brought that together with the movement and said, okay, we're going to use these proceeds to actually give to these organizations. And I think a lot of times people think they have to kind of have like an outer body of experience to drive change. And the idea is that you can do it in the world that you have
Yeah.
some, some persuasion in.
This is what we do best, right? We can design shirts, we can get them printed, we can get them made, we can get the stickers and the art prints, and we have all of the apparatus to ship it and to get it to you safely and quickly. And we can do that and make the most money to give away. Like, I am like, if you need something done on a budget, I am your gal, because I'm going to find every single way to pinch the penny so that the most money is going to go to these groups. And it's like, when, just like the reason that we started Herbivore, it's like, I'm vegan and I want the world to know about the injustice of animals, so I'm going to wear it on a t-shirt. And that's what I want to make my life about, is sharing this message on t-shirts, because this is America and that's what we do, right? So George Floyd is killed and we're like freaking gutted, and it's horrible, and everybody's going through these out of body experiences and self-examinations and all of this stuff in our worlds and in our minds and our hearts. And we're like, we want to help. What can we do? Make t-shirts.
Yeah.
So, Josh found these super amazing artists, typographers. There's like 2 artists. One is Simone Wilder. One is Crystal Marshall. They're both typographers and designers. They're both American women. And then Nick Missani is, I think, an American, but he lives in France. And he's also a typographer. And then a designer here from Portland named Lisa Congdon. Those are the artists that we worked with. And they have totally different styles. They donated their art. I mean, these are people that, this is their job. This is worth a lot, just to have these designs, and that they trusted us so that we could raise money. And they're like so excited about the project too, which is exciting and honoring for us that they would give us this opportunity. So it's, yeah, do what you do best. Make t-shirts.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, as people are watching this, as people are hearing your story, do you have any advice for people as they start to think about what the rest of 2020 should be and how we move into 2021? Do you have any thoughts or any recommendations for any individuals that are still struggling, still adjusting, or had some success, but they're trying to figure out their next path forward for the rest of the year? Any thoughts or recommendations for them?
Oh my gosh. I think that what I would say to anybody that's just struggling or just living right now, it's like, every single day, approach every day on its own and do your best that you can that day, and reach out to people and talk to people and ask for help, or just be supportive, and just try to come at things through a lens of being open and not being judgmental. That's something that I have to work on. We all do. And just, this moment in the world is, everyone talks about it being so unprecedented, but at the end of the day, we're all just people still here doing our living our own individual lives. And so how I treat my daughter, how I treat my husband, how I treat my friends, and what I get out of those relationships and what I give to them, that's really what I have every single day. And from that, it'll just, the good or the bad will multiply. And I mean, that sounds kind of simplistic, but I don't know, it's kind of what's kept me going, because it's, sometimes I'm just looking at these four walls and it feels so different, but then I can have a connection with somebody and it just changes my whole mood, or, it makes everything better. So that's what I would say. And just don't forget to be idealistic. I mean, don't let this bull crap get you down. I mean, and when it does, just call it out for what it is. And then, find somebody to agree with you. Because then you'll feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's good sometimes to have those reminders, because with all of the news, the challenges, the anxiety that a lot of people are feeling is getting transferred around. We're like kind of passing it around like as they would say, like a hot potato.
Yeah.
That we have to get reminded that, don't pass that potato to the next person.
Don't pass the potato. Don't take the bait. And I'm really grateful that I find a lot of joy in really simple things. Like sounds ridiculous, but like ice water on a hot day, like, oh my God, cold water is, amazing. Or just walking the dogs and watching the dog smile as he's running, like just finding a moment. In that moment, there's a lot of joy, and I seize on that. And I've been like that my whole life. I've just always been like, I'm going to make the best of it, because here I am. And it doesn't mean I don't have days that are bad, but, I'm lucky that way. And I try to remember that, and try to just stay positive, because people are watching. And whether it's on our Instagram stories or what we say, to somebody in the grocery store, just to be the person who says something kind, or says an extra thank you, or actually looks in somebody's eyes when they're talking to them, and just make people feel seen. And that feels really great.
I agree. I so agree. I'm just going to put item on the screen. Patricia said, loved it. And then I just reached for my drink. My husband brought this in while we were doing our live session. Aww. It's actually cold. You can see the sweat probably on it. But to your point about the things that just delight us, it's him just thinking of me, knowing that I'm on these calls, I'm doing these things, and I'm running from meeting to meeting. I'm probably hungry. I could use something I could sip on really quick. And to me, those are the things I think sometimes in life we forget to cherish. We forget to recognize and remember, even though it may seem small, and it may seem like, well, he's my husband, wouldn't he do nice things for me? He didn't have to do that.
No, but he thought of you while you weren't there. And then he said, what might she need right now? And it makes such a difference. And you feel better. And then you're going to be in a better mood, and you're going to pass that on. It's
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the other day, we started selling cookies from Sweet Pea Bakery, which is next to us.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, okay, we got cookies. People can't come to Sweet Pea, so we'll get the cookies. And one of them, the package didn't get sealed. And we were like, oh, dang it. So now we got to fix inventory so we don't oversell cookies. And then I was like, well, who wants half a cookie? We're gonna have to eat it.
Yeah, that's how life is sometimes. Right? You have to bring a cookie with somebody every once in a while.
The damaged goods.
Absolutely. I have one last question. Even I know we're going a little bit over, but I don't know. Tell me if you want to answer this or not. But as we're going into the fall, we're starting to think about the holidays. For a lot of more retail like businesses like yourself, the holidays are big times for sales, for growth, and so forth. And this year is so different. This year feels different. I mean, even with stores, making announcements that they're even going to be closed on, days like Thanksgiving, with it's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know about yours. Are you looking at this holiday season differently? Are you preparing differently? I'm just curious if anyone else is kind of thinking. I know it sounds weird, like we're in August thinking about November, but this is
It's
the right
not
time to really
It is
start thinking
not
about it.
weird at all. And actually, it reminded me of something you asked me a moment ago, just about talking about sales and the fact that that we still have to, business must go on, right? This is what the world has to. We still have to conduct our business in order to survive. And we are thinking about sales because the year stinks, to be honest with you. Like it's not good, and it's the worst year we've had in 10 years, so, or more. So we're definitely thinking about it, and we're thinking about things that people want and need, because we want to be able to provide them the opportunity to buy that from a vegan business. So, we brought the cookies in, and now we sell things like soy curls and some really nice heirloom beans. We're doing, bringing some pantry items in, but we have this line of like scarves and hats and stuff that we've sold for years. And I know people are still going to want scarves and hats, and because they could use that as a little mask, or it's like a little bit of an accessory that feels good and you can see it on your Zoom call, which we're still going to be doing in December. And,
Yes.
but we're just having to buy less and be way more lean and be a lot more adaptive quickly, the way that we do our buying and in for the store. But something that I want to mention is that supporting small businesses, whether it's mine or a store in your town, wherever you are, and buying from a small business whenever you can, and not buying from Amazon or Walmart or Target whenever you can. I mean, we all are going to buy from those stores too. I get that. But, supporting a small business, because that small business employs local people and it buys from other small businesses, it makes a huge difference. The companies that are making the most money right now are Amazon and Walmart. And those are not companies that care about us as individuals. Those are not companies that care about animals. If you're a vegan, an ethical vegan for animals. But small vegan businesses and small businesses in your town are places where you should spend your money, and because those things support what you are all about. And when I think about what has happened to my company because of the virus, and then I hear that Amazon and Target's sales are like over 1,000% growth, and I look at mine and I look at the percentage of growth and it's down because I don't have a store.
Yes.
That is another kind of injustice. That's like, that is so screwed up. Like, why are they getting richer? The richest guy is getting richer, and here we are,
Yeah.
trying
Trying to
to
make it work, trying to stay
make it
afloat.
work,
Yeah.
trying to make veganism look good. And he's like, so, it's, all of those things go into like all of those ideas and thoughts happen before we pick a product to put on our website and to put on the shelf. And everything has to have a purpose and a reason and come from a good place. And so that has value. And we, the difference that it makes when people spend their dollars with somebody like me, or Andy from Compassion Co. or Vegan Power Co. or Moo Shoes in New York. It makes such a difference to us, and I guarantee you that Jeff Bezos won't know if you don't order it on Amazon. So,
Like I said, it's important for us to put our money where our beliefs are. It's
totally.
important to support, and it's important to support kind of businesses, especially like yourself. I mean, you've transcended into like the institution. I mean, you're part of history in a sense, and it's so important that we keep that alive. It's so important that we support. We are there for. We're rallying behind you,
Oh, thank
and
you.
also, it's important for us to just be continue to be a community, even though we're social distanced. Even though we may not feel as connected, we can still act as a community. And one way of doing that is acting and voting with your dollars.
Yeah, it's true. And we want to earn it. It's not like, nobody's looking for handouts, and so it's like telling our story. We want you all to know how much it means to us and how much we love the work, but also that it's valid work, and that we deserve the business, because we are doing good with the dollars that we make, and just putting this mission out there to the world, like, let's just be nice to one another, for crying out loud, and that includes animals.
Absolutely. Could have said it better or positioned it better with the "Be Kind" behind you
I know.
in the in the frame.
That's our new freebie sticker. If you've ever bought anything from us, you always get a free sticker when you buy. And this is before they're cut, they're on a big sheet like this. So our printer, Andy at Diesel Fuel, he always gives us some of the sheets. And I was like, that yellow is everything, and I want that in a frame.
Yes, it's like a little bit of sunshine in a frame.
So, exactly.
Well, Michelle, I know I kept you so much longer than originally planned, but I really appreciate you spending a little extra time with me, a little extra time with our audience, sharing your story, sharing your background. Even I snuck in that piece about the retail in the holiday season because I think it's really important. And I'm so glad we had a chance to talk about how important it is to support not just small businesses, but our vegan businesses, that it's really important that we sometimes go out of our way. Sometimes we pay the shipping cost. It's important.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad
True. Oh my gosh, don't even get me going on shipping. Yeah. Save the USPS. Send them a postcard.
Yes. Oh yeah, we could do a whole another session.
Right.
But I wanted to say oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to you for the opportunity and the time. I love talking with you, and your good questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, let's make sure everyone has the website, social media, email, anything they need to get in touch with you.
Herbivoreclothing.com is where you can go. You can sign up on our email list there, and our Instagram is our most active social media, and it's at Herbivore Clothing. And I do lots of cooking videos and share my family life on there a little bit, and funny goings on about Portland. And yeah, herbivoreclothing.com. Sign up. We are redoing our website again in the next couple of weeks, so things will always be fresh. So
nice. It's nice to know it'll be fresh. And also, let's make sure people jump on there and get some of those shirts from your campaign. And also just continue to, support you. So thanks again for having you. Thank you, everyone who's watched us live. I know some of you will be listening to this as a recorded session. I really appreciate it. Feel free to post a question in the comments or any type of response. We will make sure we get it over to Michelle if we need Michelle's expert response. Or if we can handle it or get into Michelle's shoes, we will respond as well. But we really appreciate everyone out there. You can watch this whether you're watching it online or you're watching as part of our podcast. We really appreciate you listening, and we appreciate the likes and the loves. So feel free to load us up with some of those hearts and likes and loves, because it's a great way for us to know that you enjoy these segments and enjoy these features. So Michelle, I don't know if you have anything else to add. Otherwise, we will wrap up today.
No, thank you. That's all I have to say. I appreciate it so much.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who watched.
Take care, everybody. Bye.